The way you experience the industry, has that changed from 2016?
Oh yeah, changed a lot. Look, like the first thing 2016 that I noticed back then was that the only like research that really existed was that either had the complete fanatics, right? People that were saying Bitcoin is going to $10 million, which even back then, back then it was like, batshit crazy. Now it's a little, now you're like, maybe that might happen. But back then it was batshit crazy. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you had all the university researchers, professors and stuff. And it was like these like two insanely differing views, right? Like one was like, this is the future of everything. And the second one was, this is complete bullshit. If you're spending time on this, you're wasting your time. It's dying within a couple of years. And it was kind of interesting to me because I saw like some promise of, freedom in Bitcoin. I saw a promise of just, less kind of oversight from governments. And there were some properties that really resonated with me. And I thought, why would we like immediately go to like it's either the future or it's dying within a couple of years? Why not go somewhere in the middle and like try to write objective research about what's actually happening on chain, what's happening socially? That's what I started ultimately doing because there's no one in the middle. There's maybe like one or two other people who were doing that. The rest were like maybe 50 to 100 people like on these two sides of the spectrum. That has obviously changed drastically since then, right? In 2017, like things went up a lot. There was a crazy mania when it came to bullshit projects building something that had no use just because it was easy to raise money at that time through ICOs. That mania then crashed drastically again in 2018. We went through the first full cycle, which is when I also joined the block in late 2018 when things were kind of dead. Like I remember the consensus at that time was that even from people in the industry was like, we don't even know for sure that this will come back, right? Like it's now obviously so implied for people that work full time in the industry that this is something that will be here in 20 or 30 years. Back then it wasn't. Like I remember in 2017 and 2018, I was like thinking, holy shit, like did I make a mistake like jumping full time into crypto and like dedicating my first 2 or 3 years of research experience in this? Because the sentiment was really shitty, and like ultimately most people end up sticking around and believing that this will be something that will bounce back. But these 2 years were pretty slow and painful, and there was not that much to write about. Not a lot of teams actually building anything. I remember even at the block, like some days we had trouble finding 10 articles to write, and now you have like every day you have hundreds of pitches in your inbox. You can easily be writing 50 plus articles if you actually want. I mean, most of them are not going to be high quality, but back then we actually had problems with like, what are we even going to be writing about? It was just like not that much content. And the same thing was true for the research side as well. So that has changed really drastically. Like the overarching belief that crypto will be here in a long time, specifically Bitcoin, that wasn't the case before, even for industry veterans and insiders. And, I think another difference is that back then it seemed like I almost felt, ashamed working in crypto because there were a lot of people that you would not want to be associated with, that end up working in crypto, that end up being the advocates for crypto. And I think that has changed as well. And I think like now a lot of, people can be proud to be in this industry because it attracts really smart, motivated young people that actually want to work here and dedicate their time to it. And that wasn't the case before. It's gotten so much easier from both a career risk perspective, but also just overall, just to have a little bit more of just you being slightly more convinced that this is the right thing that you're doing and that this is something that will still be here in 20 years. Like that's important, and that wasn't the case before. But obviously the implied effect of that as well is that when very few people believe that this is the future, the opportunity is a lot larger. Now when a lot more people believe it's the future, opportunity decreases, and that's exactly where we are right now.
You mean individual rewards are much lower now compared to what they were back in the
Yeah,
day?
for sure, for sure.